Blessings, 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 blessings be unto you. This is Mercedes Warrick, and welcome to the Sacredness of Healing, an affiliate program of sacredqi.com. This is for my lovely sisters and ladies of the breast cancer journey at the caring place. I want to tell you a story. Back in 2008, 2009, I was studying to become a Reiki master, and I had wanted to come into the caring place. They weren't in this location that they are now on Sunset. I think they were up on Valley View somewhere. And I wanted to be of service. I wanted to put the Reiki that I had learned to use. And I didn't get in, couldn't get there. I don't even remember what the issues were. I think they were going through some transition at the time as well. But the bottom line is I didn't get there. And as I look back on it now and I look at what is happening in our Breathing Deeply group and my work and my studies for the Foundations of Contemplative Care Partnership, I kind of get it, you know. I hadn't even had a death in my family or a illness in my family, and I wouldn't have had the level of understanding that I have today. So now we're going to fast forward to, we're in 2020, so about 2021, and I'm trying to get out of my house, right? I've been diagnosed with stage 4 metastatic breast cancer, and I haven't been able to leave my house. I haven't had the white blood cell count. It just wasn't safe. It was dangerously low at one point. And so even before COVID, I was isolated. So I figured that going to the caring place, when I finally kind of got up the gumption and the fortitude to say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to leave my house and be in a social setting. The first time I got there, I don't drive, so I take Lyft. And the first time I got there, I was a few minutes late. I mean, getting ready was just a challenge. It was, every step was resistance. And so what happened was I got there late and the doors were locked. And I knocked on the door, and it's very unusual, I know now, but nobody was answering, and I sat out in the parking lot and I cried. I'm telling you these things because if you're thinking about coming to Breathing Deeply, and it is a contemplative spiritual inquiry, it is a grounding, a rooting into where you are in each breath, right? Every breath is a devotion. And when I was gifted the information that I had during my journey, I was not in a formal program, but every day I would show up. And sometimes it was scary, and sometimes I wouldn't know where the emotion was coming from. But what I came to understand was, as I was doing my prayers, they wouldn't have been, I don't like to say effective, but there's a connection that I began to feel, that I really could feel like I was resting in the arms of Holy Spirit, resting in the wisdom of the divine. And when things would come up from the inside of me, the inspiration, I just knew that that was the prayer for the day, right? The prayer for the moment. And then there were the times that we'd have to sit and wait for results or know it was time for another scan. And I had a place to go. I had a place to go that was within me, because a lot of times I have had support and family, but a lot of times when you're in that MRI machine, you're in there by yourself. And I live alone and with my German Shepherd. So when I go to bed at night and the anxiety would come, I'm there alone. but I'm never alone, right? There is always a place to go. So I'm saying all of this to say that yes, you may be feeling some resistance to coming, and you may not know exactly what may happen. But you've been there in a number of different ways and pushed your way through. And you've done that for medical reasons. And now I'm saying, sit with it. Try to understand if this is the place you're supposed to be. And know that we're taking steps forward. I teach intuitively. So these first 4 weeks have been very interesting because things have come forward kind of in an order. And that's the other thing that's been so special for me teaching this, is that through the guidance of Spirit, we've been able to just teach at a flow and an energy output that is allowing a revealing every month, every week, really, because we're doing this once a week, every week. So you don't have to be in perfect physical condition. Most of what we do is lying down or sitting up or standing. It's whatever your physical capacity is. The breath work itself, I do believe, is a little different the way I teach it, because we get to be in a consciousness of no tension in the body. And that is a learned expression of living. No tension in the body of the physical, in the body of the mental, in the body of the energetic. And we learn this, and then we transfer this into mindful living. As I'm eating, as I'm drinking, how am I preparing? We just did a wonderful meditation and on the dancing waters. So don't let your how can I put this? I'm seeing this push-pull in my inner vision right now. It's like you're having this push and pull and push and pull and push and pull, and you're not real certain. But at some point, I hope that the draw of the pull brings you to us. The final thing I will say is, I'm a former athlete, so I have a lot of ego around doing things right and perfectly and for the maximum efficiency and the best performance, right? And the first time I actually have a black belt in a particular yoga discipline. You would never know it now in my physical shape, but the first day I walked into that studio, they have an exercise, it's bowing. You get all the way down, it works every muscle in your body. You get down on your knees, you bring your hands up, you come up, and you do this. And the first day, I'll never forget, there was a more mature woman next to me, in the mat next to me. And in our class, we were to do 100 bows. I got to 10. And she's going up and down and up and down and up and down, and I got to 10. By the time I left that practice and discipline, I had gotten my black belt, and we bowed for 8 hours straight. That was part of our black belt certification. We have to walk before we have to crawl before we walk. And right now, I think the thing that hurts in our hearts is that we may be back to crawling, and we may not even be crawling. We may be needing assistance even just to move. It's not a matter of doing it right or wrong. It's a matter of being present and showing up. Contemplative care partnership is a communion, a connection with what we're calling it here in our Sangha with my studies, a connection with the Buddha, right? A connection with your knowing one. We want to be diverse, culturally respectful, and spiritually open to experiencing each other through a plane of open-heartedness and understanding. The Dharma, these are the three treasures. The Dharma is the innate wisdom. And at one point, you hear that infinite wisdom, but this is innate. This is the wisdom that's within you to become activated and for you to trust it, for us to trust it within each other, right? And the third treasure is the Sangha, which is the community. So yes, and what I found over these most remarkable 4 weeks is it just wouldn't have been the same back in 2008, because now I've walked steps on the pathway that you're also walking on. So I hope you will join us. And there's some breathing involved and some very uncomfortable self-reflection, self-discernment, and some quiet time when we sit to receive the answer instead of receiving the advice of others. And we've had some really wonderful conversations about how we feel about taking, I don't want to use control, it's softer than that. What word could I use? Being in the humility. There is a gentle, I think that, what do we call it? The velvet glove, right? There is a gentleness to how we bring others into our sanctuary of self-care. And I have a really good friend. He is my heart. He's been with me through some really tough times. And the most loving thing he ever said to me was, Mercedes, I'm here, whatever you need, but I don't know how to help you. I don't know what you may need. You're going to have to tell me. But I will be here. And he has been. And that's the empowerment of it. That is the inner power that we possess, that we tap into, that we reconnect with and become held up. Through the worst of times and through the best of times and through our sisterhood and through that marvelous, marvelous, marvelous sanctuary called the Caring Place. Blessings be unto you. Namaste.